Hello, everybody. It's the Excellent Reviewer. And if you've been a long-term subscriber to the channel, then you might remember that a couple years ago, I did a review for the trailer of a movie starring the perennial ace Hiroshi Tanahashi called My Dad is a Heel Wrestler, which is the story of a kid struggling with the fact that his dad is a heel wrestler. Well, fast forward after the trailer review, now we come full circle as we now prepare to do My Dad is a Heel Wrestler, the official film review. So we start off the film with Takashi Omura, played by Hiroshi Tanahashi, winning the prestigious Z1 Climax. Takashi is set to be the next top star of Lion Pro Wrestling as he gets the certified title shot. 10 years later, after his big victory, we see that Takashi has a wife and a son now who runs a barber shop, and we immediately see how the life of a wrestler impacts his family's life as Takashi is running late to his son's presentation at school. Takashi makes it home but finds out that his wife and son have left for the school. Takashi runs to the school as fast as he can, but ultimately he is late because, and I shit you not, he sees an old lady struggling to walk on the street, so he decides to carry her on his back to her destination. This old lady was more important than his own son. Yikes. Takashi's son Shota realizes that he doesn't know exactly what his father does for a living, as the kids won't stop pestering Shota about what his father does. Shota then proceeds to ask his father what he does after they both do a wrestling pose, but his father is quick to deflect that and says that he'll tell him when he's older. This, however, would not be a good enough answer to Shota as he follows him to see what his dad really does for a living. It's at this point that I should mention that there are a lot of wrestlers from New Japan Pro Wrestling that took part in this film. Obviously, like Tanahashi, some of the young lions like Katsuya Kitamura, Yu Uemura, not to mention Togi Makabe, Trent Beretta, and of course Ryusuke Taguchi. So as Takashi is walking to a building, we see that some of the young lions give Takashi some money, which makes Shota think that his dad maybe is working with the mob. Takashi goes into the building, and Shota follows right after him, and he sees Makabe slapping someone and saying, and I quote, "You have to do what you have to do." Scared by what he has seen, Shota runs deeper into the building and find out that a wrestling show is taking place. Shota then meets a girl from his class and is exposed to everything that is pro wrestling. We then see Dragon George, who is played none other than by Kazuchika Okada. Dragon George is the Lion Pro Wrestling Heavyweight Champion and is taking on the top heel Cockroach Mask. And boy, these wrestling names are bad, but you know what? That's wrestling for you. Cockroach Mask starts to cheat by choking Dragon George, spraying him in the eyes, and using his partner, Blue Bottle Mask, played by Taguchi, to cheat for him. Shota doesn't like Cockroach Mask, and he yells how he isn't fair. Cockroach Mask does his signature pose, and Shota remembers his father doing the exact same pose, and he realizes that his father is indeed Cockroach Mask. Shota hears everyone talking shit on his father, and he leaves the venue as he is visibly upset, and he now thinks that his father is a terrible person. Takashi leaves the match to find his son, and he tries to talk to him, but Shota, who is hurt and disgraced by his father's actions, says that he hates his father, who is a bad guy, and he runs away. But god damn, that's harsh. The next day at school, the kids chase Shota around and press him on what his father's job really is, until finally he tells them the truth that his dad is a pro wrestler. A girl that Shota likes, who is also a fan of wrestling that was at the same show, asks Shota if his dad is Dragon George, because she happens to be a huge Dragon George fan. Shota lies and says that Dragon George is his dad. The girl that Shota likes asks if he can get her an autograph, which Shota reluctantly agrees to do. Takashi is running with Blue Bottle when he starts thinking about possibly going back to being a babyface, as he's been a heel for over 9 years. Takashi then gets the news that someone had to drop out of this year's Z1 Climax, and the owner of Lion Pro Wrestling asks Takashi what he thinks about another wrestler filling the empty slot. And Takashi says he thinks he's okay, but you can tell that Takashi himself wants that spot in the Z1 Climax. The owner talks to said wrestler, played by Kushida, who immediately gets injured by Taguchi's ass. Feeling the pressure from his classmates, Shota starts walking as he sees a fan wearing a Dragon George shirt, and he follows the fan to see they're having a wrestling watch party where there happens to be a Dragon George autograph. How lucky for Shota. He then decides that he's going to try and steal the autograph before he gets caught, and in this scene we witness the best wrestler cameo in a film ever, and I'm going to try to show this to you if YouTube doesn't try to copyright me. And this is the best way that I could get footage without having them strike me, the YouTube bastards. We then find out that Takashi is going to be competing in the Z1 Climax after all. Shota then gets caught by a wrestling reporter and yells at him for stealing the autograph. Takashi catches up to his son, and his son basically says fuck kayfabe and reveals the identity to this reporter that his dad is indeed Cockroach Mask. Which, by the way, you get the impression that she's a long-term wrestling fan, this reporter. Then how the fuck does she not know that this man standing in front of her is the former ace of Lion Pro Wrestling? Anyway, Shota runs away, which he does a lot in the movie, but is caught up by the reporter who wants an autograph of the infamous Cockroach Mask, which he gets to switch for the Dragon George autograph, which he gives to Mana, the name of the girl that he likes. We now get to the first day of the Z1 Climax, as Joel Hardy, played by Trent Beretta, faces off against Cockroach Mask first, and Cockroach Mask manages to take out Joel Hardy and move on in the Z1 Climax. But the pressure is mounting on Shota from the lie that he's telling that Okada is his father. The kids jeer and they boo Cockroach Mask, and they want Shota to boo Cockroach Mask as well, but you can tell that deep down inside he doesn't really want to boo Cockroach Mask since Cockroach Mask is his father. However, there are these kids in Shota's school that start to get suspicious and wonder if Dragon George really is Shota's father. So they send another student into Shota's mother's barber shop to ask questions to Shota's mom. They confront Shota about his mom freezing up once she was asked about if Dragon George really was his father. However, there are these kids that run to Shota's defense and saying that Shota isn't lying, that indeed this is just all a big secret, so of course she wasn't going to say anything. And these kids and Shota's friends, they start to get in fights over this, and Shota, of course, disappears just like a former 16-time world heavyweight champion. We then find out the reason why Takashi never became the top babyface of the company, and it was because he ended up injuring his knee pretty badly. Takashi goes to his doctor, who advises him that he should take this time to heal up, but Takashi feels as though he is past his prime and this is his last time to potentially win the Z1 Climax again. We then get back to Shota, who tells his father that maybe he should quit wrestling entirely, and he says that his father's job embarrasses him, which God damn, that's fucking harsh. Shota, you can be a little bit of a dick. Takashi gets closer and closer to winning the Z1 climax and decides that after hearing his son's words that he is going to go into business for himself and he is going to turn into a babyface once again, which I didn't know that you could do by yourself without any permission of the company. Before the match starts, Takashi drops his bug spray and he starts to wrestle a match without his cheating ways. His partner, Blue Bottle, knows that something is wrong and he attacks his opponent, the Sweet Gorilla, played by Togi Makabe. Takashi hesitates on attacking him when Blue Bottle is holding him back, and he stops before taking off his mask and revealing himself as the former Ace, who everyone thought had disappeared years ago. Shota is so shocked by his father's actions that he says his father's name out loud, which is overheard by Mana. He then finally comes out and tells the truth that Dragon George is not his father, but Cockroach Mask is his father. Mana, who hears this, is so angry that she says that she hates him, kind of like how Shota said that he hates his father, and she leaves him all by himself. Meanwhile, the Sweet Gorilla stops Takashi's dream of winning the Z1 climax as he beats Takashi in his comeback. In the back, Blue Bottle is furious that his partner revealed his identity because now their tag team is essentially destroyed. The owner tells Takashi that he's fired as he was not happy about this sudden face turn, and shortly afterwards, Takashi falls down to the ground and is taken to the hospital. Shota visits his dad and he feels sorry for saying that he hates his father, and he stays at home for 3 days, and it's because he's ashamed for what he did, as everyone in school now knows that he lied. Takashi at this point also decides that he's going to quit wrestling, but like most wrestling retirements, it is cut short as Dragon George, impressed by Takashi's comeback, calls him out for a title match, but Takashi doesn't want to do it since his son is so against his career, but ultimately Shota gives him the go-ahead to go and wrestle for the title. Shota goes back to school, and despite everyone knowing that he is a liar and being called a liar and having the kids write Cockroach Boy on his desk, he proudly says that he and his father are going to go on to win the title from Dragon George. Shota apologizes to everyone he lied to, including Mana, who forgives him and says that he should have just told the truth, that his dad was Cockroach Mask, and that in itself is cool enough. Finally, the match between Dragon George and Cockroach Mask begins, and both of them are having the match of their lives, especially Cockroach Mask, as this might be his last time to win the world title. But unfortunately, Dragon George hits the Dragon Maker clothesline and wins the match. Dragon George praises Cockroach Mask for his skills, but Cockroach Mask in anger throws a trash can at the ring and says that he'll fight Dragon George anytime. Shota then jeers and boos his father because his mother explained to him that booing is the best way to support his father since his dad is a heel wrestler. And the movie ends after that. Overall, the movie is pretty good. I mean, it does have its flaws, like how is it that no one was able to put together that Cockroach Mask was the former ace of the company, Takashi Omura? They made it seem like none of the other wrestlers like Dragon George knew, and they wrestle in the same company. It gives you the feeling that wrestling is real in this world, but there are several elements that as a wrestling fan, it pulls you out just a tiny little bit since we know so much about what goes on in the wrestling business. The acting by a majority of the wrestlers are good, and I didn't expect Ryusuke Taguchi, of all people, to be as featured as prominently as he was in the movie. and in such a high profile role, he knocks it out of the park. And of course, we need to talk about Hiroshi Tanahashi, who, even though he's playing a professional wrestler, he does a better job than most would expect. He hits the dramatic beats on par with everyone else. And I'm not saying that Tanahashi could be this Oscar award winning actor, but he is damn well good in this movie. He just hits everything out of the park, and you really feel that he is just a father who is only doing his best to provide for his son and his family. Tanahashi is just the perennial ace in and out of the ring. Overall, I think if you're a wrestling fan, that you'll enjoy this movie a lot. So I recommend seeking it out and watching it for yourself, because My Dad is a Heel Wrestler is honestly a really great story and a really great movie.